Welcome back, everybody, to another League of Inches podcast, Supercoach slash Team List Tuesday, all coming at you at once. I've had a mountain of people reach out to the show this week, plenty before the post even went out today. So a lot more than normal. So it feels like it's a big week for super coaches in terms of just wanting to get their sides right. So we're going to go through a couple of teams up on the screen a little bit later. So it's a really good episode to watch through the YouTube page. So just type in League of Inches if you haven't already. Make sure you please hit that like and subscribe button. That subscribe button is so important, helping us grow. We have a goal to reach 1K through at some point of this football season. I think we're about 400 off that. We're basically growing that so far this year. So 4 months, we've grown it to about 600 or just under. Let's keep that going. Keep sharing it with your friends. Keep letting them know, helping us grow as well. But as I said, a big week for team list wise. It wasn't compared to the last couple of weeks. It's been a bit easier to get through. But yeah, I think there's some big players wanting to get made this week. So there's plenty to talk about from that side of things. Um, we'll talk obviously about how we went this week, last weekend as well. I think inch at a time just got up above Jesse's classic team as well. But before we talk about classic, big announcement, the League of Inches inaugural draft, which is on this year. There's luckily 12 lucky guys a part of this first season. There's plenty of big things to come as well. Big matchup this weekend. Myself against Jesse. So inch at a time versus Hasbullah. Huge game. Jesse's trying to take the whole injury riddled team, trying to be that guy. But he said that last week, everyone, to take you behind the scenes, and he ended up winning it, and it just made some changes. So I'm not buying it, but there's a huge game coming up, Jesse.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one. I've been looking forward to this one, but again, you can try and downplay it as much as I can. I don't have half a team at the moment, so had the same issue last week. Picked up some quality waivers with Munro and Totola combining for all of 13 points. Somehow managed to win with like a 745. So it could have been a huge game, huge week, but didn't matter in the end, luckily. So it'll be more wavering for me this week. Try and get one over you.
100%. Just how we went last weekend. So I had a total of 1,180. That only put me in the top 20%. So there's some really high scores in a weekend that was pretty injury riddled, and a lot of lower scores for certain players, but then some others really got some ceiling sort of scores. So that moved me up a little bit in the rankings. I'm now on a total score of 6,099. And it's a ranking now of 33,136. So I went up about 5.5K my rankings on the weekend. Jesse, you started the comeback. You're flying. What was last weekend for you?
I scored 1166, so I was a little bit less than you did. Puts my total score to 6,218. I did go up this week, not by a lot, but I'm 18,694. So I went up 345 places. Pretty much just
Not,
par. Just
yeah,
keeping it
not
going.
bad at all. They were very close up this week for us. So I will take that. I needed some momentum. So hopefully I've gained some now and can get back into it. We haven't even got to trade yet, but guys, to be honest with you, I actually have no idea what I'm doing trade wise yet. I'm hoping this tonight helps me decide a couple of things that I'm thinking of. Let's get into the team list first, as we always do. For the first game is the Roosters versus the Storm. For the Roosters, Tedesco does return at fullback, meaning Joey Manu pushes to the centres. Suoliti goes to the wing, meaning Michael Jennings does keep his spot. Satili Tupanua is out with that head knock, and that bench spot has been taken by Egan Butcher. Keep an eye on Sam Walker. He is in the reserves. Apparently, his symptoms are a little bit worse than first thought. He is struggling a little bit to come back. They're not going to rush him. The Roosters have a history of that as well. They're very good when it comes to this side of the game. They protect their players really well. In saying that, if he does start to recover the next, when is it? It's tomorrow, two nights away from now. You never know. He might be a late inclusion, but for now, I'd probably anticipate he's not going to actually be playing. They'll just be this err on the side of caution and safety and let him have that extra week. For the Storm, you've been waiting a long time. Nelson Asafa Solomona is in and starting at prop for the Storm. That's for the injured Tui Kamakamika, who is solo with a calf injury. And popular Supercoach cheapie, a few may have had him just because they've had other priorities to get rid of. Joe Chan is named to start on the bench. He's taking Tepai Moro's spot there on the Pines. So, Jesse, anything Supercoach worthy to note for this game?
Besides the absolute skyrocketing ownership of Angus Crichton, there's not much else for the Roosters at the moment, I'd say. But yeah, obviously he's shown the last 2 games, he's actually been phenomenal, 2 pretty much 80s in a row. So, yeah, at 460, 70 odd K. Yeah, 459 he's at the moment, minus 22 break even. It's almost a no-brainer. It's very easy to do. I'm sure a lot of people have second rowers that haven't hit that they want to get off, like Sean Lanes and that kind of stuff. But um, yeah, you could do a lot worse. His ownership's going to be massive after this round, and fair enough. If it looks like he's back to his best, yeah, I'm probably going to do it as well. Um, Obviously, Joe Chan's back in the mix. I feel like it could be a bit of a nightmare going forward, having him
Yeah.
just playing Moroa's role. Obviously, you want to get his cash rise this week because his break even's still in the negatives. But I think, 1, 2 weeks later, you might be looking at move him on. I don't know where you'd go from him though. That's the only problem. Like, you can only go backwards, but at least if you can upgrade him into someone half relevant, you might be able to get something. But yeah, it looks like Blaw's pretty much got that spot. I'd imagine he plays through the middle too. Um, I don't really
Do
see
you
him
think
taking
Blaw's
too
an
many
option?
minutes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. It might even be worth just what's the thing? Like you're comparing Blore and Crichton now together at the same price point. I like the pedigree of Crichton personally. Um, both of them have fixtures that you'd probably want to be half involved in. I'd say the Storm probably have a better run coming up than the Roosters do. But just in general, I've seen a lot more of Crichton in the past than I have of Sean Blore, and I like what I see from him. Um, And again, like you look at the score that Crichton got this week, I wasn't really too much involved. He actually got a couple of he got a pretty hefty downgrade in his points because they had that try assist that was rightfully Terrell Mays given to Crichton, which got reversed, for good call. So yeah, thank God for that. But Blore got a try and scored pretty much the same thing. So yeah, the output's there, but myself, I'd be looking at Crichton. Just got to see him killing it again. So yeah, but outside of that, not too much else. Obviously, Pappy and Munster, Hughes, like they're all coming into their own now, which is nice. So I think it's pretty heavy
Yeah.
ownership in them anyway.
I'm waiting. I believe Munster had a very good game on the weekend. Got back to his sort of best super coach was. So if you haven't got on that one yet, you're still tossing up some 5/8s, or you held on to Munster. Well done to you. You have finally paid off that long, long wait to have him in the team. I've got him in one of my draft comps, and I held on to him, and I was so happy to see that came through.
Yeah, good.
Next game up, the Dragons versus the Warriors. For the Dragons, Jack Bird is sidelined with a head knock, meaning Zach Lomax comes into the centres and Christian Tuipulotu comes in on the wing. So that's the new recruit from the Manly Sea Eagles. So what I don't know what that means for Zach. We will have a bit of a chat about this after I go through the team list because I'm not sure what that means for Zach Lomax, super coach wise. I did like him a bit more on the wing. I had my eye on him this week, but I have gone a little bit colder on him since being named here at centre. Um, and their new signing, Fal. I always I hate pronouncing his
So
first name.
Farmanu Brown.
Farmanu Brown. I think there's some sort of tongue twister thing in there, but I can't roll my R or can't roll anything, guys. So I apologise there. He's on the reserve, so just keep an eye out for maybe he's going to start eating into Little's minutes over the next couple of weeks. I'm not too sure there, but they've obviously recruited him for a purpose, not to just sit there helping out their cup side. For the Warriors, just a one force change with Adam Pompey moving to the 18th man and to the interchange bench, and Jazz Tavanga dropping out due to a hamstring injury. So Warriors pretty much 1-17, what they had last week for that draw. So what do you got there for that game, Jesse?
Well, Lomax is a big one too, and I suppose a lot of people that are
Mm.
looking to move on Hammer, for example, could be looking straight over to him. I know I had my eye on him as well, but again, yeah, it's a bit tricky. You just don't expect him to be doing as much in the centres, especially not with the amount of runs and stuff that he's making too. It's kind of been his big appeal this year. I still don't hate the move though. I think Lomax is still going to do quite well regardless. He's always been a center. He scored quite well in the past, but this year's just seems to be really killing it on the wing. For the rest of the side though, I don't see Tupolotto as a big option at the moment. Obviously, um, Bird's got to come back. You'd imagine Lomax just goes back and then they're back to the way they were. The forwards are in constant rotation with each other. Again, it's completely irrelevant who starts in what position at the moment with that side because they all get their minutes and they all do a good job with it. So I think you can pretty much run with anyone safely to an extent. But yeah, for the Warriors, man, Dallin's looking pretty fresh right now, to be fair. I've been seeing a pretty hefty movement going towards him at the moment, just because everyone's looking to get in that really big, high profile bolstered center wing option. I think he's really good for it. And Tamari Martin's a great option in 5'8" if you're looking at downgrading. Good break even. He seems to be killing it at the moment. Like he's had two really good scores. Again, I'm a little bit hesitant on the Tamari Martin thing, just because he has got a pretty big sample size of the past of doing near nothing. But in the last two games that he's played, been very good. So can't knock him for that. Yeah, there's a few forwards actually that have come into a pretty good price with I think they may pretty well bottomed out to Fanil Blake and Barnett, both very attainable at the moment. 600 and 660. I don't know if you'll get them much lower than that, to be fair, not for a long time. So yeah, it could be a pretty nice move.
Tempting.
I see this week really changing the structure of a lot of teams for some reason. I don't know what it is about it. Whether you've got a lot of money to spend or things have freed up or the news of Cleary not being back, you might have held some money and you can afford to change up. But there's so many options at the moment. A lot of players are coming into their lower end of the price bracket and you can really change some things around. But I think, yeah, for the Warriors fixtures coming up, um, definitely, obviously, the appeal is with a lot of them. Sean Johnson's, gone up quite a lot in price too. Um, Unfortunately, I don't see Shans as much of an option fullback only, but yeah, Dallin for sure. And then their props just look really good. So yeah, some good things happening with them.
Yeah. I have got my eye on DWZ, that is for sure. Um, Next game up, going to Darwin. Look out. The Eels versus the
Home game.
Dolphins. The Darwin Eels, as they are called for the week. Youngster Blaze Talangi has been named, guys, but don't get too excited. He's on the bench, and we all know how Brad Arthur uses these sorts of players on the bench. He'll probably get either 2 minutes or no minutes at all. Don't get too excited, as I said. He should be starting, in my opinion. The fact is not, and someone like Morgan Harper still there is just a joke and outright embarrassing. But hey, that's the way Brad Arthur wants to do things, and that's the only change in a side that narrowly beat the Cowboys on the weekend. For the Dolphins, obviously they've been hit with a number of injuries. Their hammer is out for a few weeks at least with that hamstring injury. I think it's been about 4 weeks that they're putting down for that one. Um, Trey Fuller comes in at fullback for just his second NRL game. So I remember his first game, he did show some decent signs there. He's a little bit smaller of a fullback, but he's definitely got some speed about him. A bit of a skillful sort of fullback. So I'm interested to see how he goes. Max Plath returns from suspension to lock. Raystone moves to the interchange with Lachlan Hubner out altogether. Sean O'Sullivan actually joins the bench as well for the suspended Anthony Milford. Supercoach wise for this game, Jesse, talk to me.
Obviously, yeah, Blaze Talungi's back. I think he's got a break even of what, 6? Whether he gets 6, I don't know. It's obviously going to put a pretty well solid speed bump into his price, Jen. If you did want to move him down to like a Kyle Ero, honestly, I don't hate it. He looks a lot more nailed. At least you know what you're going to get out of him. Joey Lustick redeemed himself last week with that try. You can afford to hold him a couple of weeks longer now, which is nice. Looks like you might have a bit of a bump. So yeah, not urgently to get rid of a lot of them. Dylan Brown too. I know that 86 really helped out with his price drop, stopped it pretty quickly. So he's got a break even of about 55 or so, 52. So yeah, you'd expect him to hit that 52. He should be on the way back up now, which is nice if you've held out this long. Besides that, yeah, down RC quite well with Dylan Brown there at 5'8". I don't really know, to be honest with you, outside of those guys, man. I don't really see anyone standing out to me at the moment. I kind of just want to avoid him for a little bit and just see the momentum kind of pick up a little more.
There's a
If you've got
very,
a few of
very
them,
hard draw coming up for the Eels. I'll warn
yeah.
everyone about that right now. So,
There's a buy in 2 weeks too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so bit of a deterrent.
yeah. Anything for the Dolphins? If I was to ask anything, I'd just say Josh Kerr still is just doing Josh Kerr things at the moment. So he's been scoring quite decently.
No, he
Um,
didn't last week. The 1 week I
oh, I
actually
mean,
played him in my draft side. I've had him chipping away on the bench all season at the expense. I think Fodder Wakers kept his spot out, and I thought, you know what? No, Kerr's been killing it way too much. Kerr scored 17 points last week, so his
I missed
one,
last week. Sorry,
yeah,
girl.
his one sad effort. So didn't work out for me. You missed that one.
I missed it.
But yeah, a few high break evens at the moment. Marshall King's in free fall, so he's in the low 600s at the moment to come lower. I don't have a really good hooker in my team at the moment in Classic, and I'd be looking at him probably in 2 weeks or so when he's really bottomed out, mid 500s. So he's well
One
on
thing
his
I'll
way.
say, I think it's time to get off Bostock if you're on him. I am, and I think he's
Yeah,
just about to hit his top price. And with no Hammer there, a
yeah,
couple of other injuries, no Flegler, I just don't know if he'll get any quality ball over the next couple of weeks. And I can just quickly see him start to lose that cash he's gained. I think he's
yeah.
up to the low 500s. If I was checking it this afternoon, if my memory serves me
It's
correct,
five.
he's about that low 500 mark.
Yeah,
And I think it's time to get off. You can get that up if, as Jesse said, I think a lot of people out there has a bit of money saved up. You can easily move him on to someone else. Plus, with the hammer, me personally, I'm looking at trading out both of those Dolphin backline players this week to go up to a couple more of those keeper level style players. So yeah, if you are a Bostock owner, and we'll talk about it probably a bit more in the trade section of things, but yeah, Bostock for mine is yelling at me to say, I've done my job. See you later.
yeah, pretty much. He's made 200k. He's 514 pretty much. So he's got a break even of 54. Um, every game he's just been scoring tries. You know, he's been getting those attacking stats. There was a game I think a week or two ago where he was on near nothing at the end of the game, and he just got that really late line break, and it helped him out. But yeah, he's had 38, 77, and 84, 50, 53. It can't go on forever, especially with Hammer not there. You know, you take your 200k, you did his job, you reinvest and upgrade. So yeah, I've got Bostock, I've got Hammer as well. So these two are looking like they're going to get on the way out. I don't know where I'm going to go from there, whether or not I put it back in a center wing or not. But you know, that's pretty much the whole reason. You can hold on to him if you've got, you know, more pressing issues. You know, if you think he's going to continue, I reckon this might peak. He might have. Well, that's the thing. After this week, if he doesn't hit that, his break even's massive, and then you need to get off. And he's probably lost a little bit. So yeah, fair point.
Yeah, not looking forward to trying to test that either. Our next game up, the Penrith Panthers versus the West Tigers in Bathurst. So we're going everywhere this weekend in the NRL. It's fantastic to see spreading the game out. No Nathan Cleary. There was rumours around that he was coming back. He wasn't. People making things up. I felt like at times there certain pages, but we will move on there. Brad Snyder's still there. So's Lua, who did go off with that knee injury last time they played. It feels like an age ago that the Panthers played with that bye, but Sorensen is back. So one of Jesse's men at the start of the year, Scotty Sorensen, he is back on the edge, meaning Luke Garner goes to the bench. For the West Tigers, he is back, guys. Lockie Galvin is back. I was more than confident to have him as my starting 5'8", I said when he's back, but the fact that Dill Brown has still been scoring quite well. We're about to talk about a little bit later that top five that you would have seen from my posts for Supercoach so far. Dill Brown's still in there. He's playing what seems like utter shit, but he's produced some decent scores, like on the weekend 80 odd. That is fantastic. So going to keep Lockie Galvin on the bench for this one, not play him against a Penrith side who I think Tigers will struggle to score points for. But in saying that, he's back. So that's the main thing. And the Tigers are a lot better team with him in the side. Brett Naden also comes back in place of Solomona Fatape. It doesn't say this is an injury, so I don't know if this is just a drop. I think they've dropped for Tarpe in this one.
Mm,
Johnny Bateman's back as well. So Alex Seyfarth goes to the bench, and both Fainu brothers are back onto the bench as well. So all around is a much stronger looking West Tigers team this week. But Penrith to Penrith, and I don't think they will take any prisoners in this game coming fresh off a bye.
yeah, it's pretty much expected, isn't it? Another week to watch Dylan Edwards absolutely fry everyone in his way. So seems like a bit longer of a play than we were sort of expecting out of Dylan Edwards. You know, you kind of just wait and see when Cleary's back. You just let him go, but it's been long enough. Would have been a nice little hold there, but don't expect
If
Cleary to
only
be
we
out
listen
too
to
much longer.
ourselves.
Oh, mate, you know how it is. Maybe next year. Taylor
Oh.
May's still in the side. Obviously, there was a bit going on this week about Taylor May. Um, about
We
some,
will talk about that tomorrow night on the Wednesday show. Just a quick preview, guys. If you want to have your say in that, we'll talk tomorrow night. That is, yeah, not
yeah.
good.
So we'll just have to see if anything comes of it. He's real low now. I don't own him anymore. I had to get off, but pretty much, yeah, low
Got him.
400s, 62 break even. I see him probably dropping again. Maybe drops a little bit more cash, goes into the 300s. Might have another look in, but I just want to see what happens maybe next week, see what comes through the NRL. But if you've still got him, you can't not have him for the Tigers fixture. That'd be rude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't really see anyone else too much as an option. Obviously, there's a quality side, and if you've got the cash to splash on them, definitely get into it. But yeah, they're just bloody expensive. For the
um,
Tigers, though.
can I ask you about for Penrith,
Yeah,
Isaiah Yo? I've
yeah,
had a very, very big look at him this afternoon because his scores and just what he's averaging and what he's got so far, his total, he's actually phenomenal.
yeah. He's so consistent. Like you're just guaranteeing yourself 75 points a week.
Oh,
Minimum too. Like
picky
he won't
material.
drop. Yeah, and the thing is like he'll play, yeah, so 67 is his lowest and his top is 94, and there's just a lot of good 70s in the middle there. So that's what happens, man. He plays every minute of every game. Like and he just does it all too. So yeah, 1 minute, like 1 point per minute, sometimes more. It's solid, man. It's really solid. It's not exciting, but I think when you're getting 70 points minimum every week, you're pretty excited about that. Definitely take it.
My start to the year, I'd be taking that every day of the week.
Yeah,
I've got him in my
hands down.
draft, and I absolutely love having him. So
Yeah.
it's just some guaranteed points.
Relatively low ownership too, 9.7. Like he's a
I was
lot.
looking at him this week. The only thing that sort of keep me hesitant on is the fact that Origin just seems like it's around the corner. So I'm just like, oh, I am starting to have the back of my mind these Origin players, and especially trading him in from probably this week or maybe next week. It's just like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know
I
if I
feel
want to do
like
that.
with Yo, the thing is like he's so consistent that you can basically get on at any time and you'll be paying 750 for him.
Yeah.
And then you can get off any time for 750. Like there's very little deviation in his price. And you kind of know exactly what you're going to get out of him week by week too. So it's like when you want to commit that much money for 75 points, just do it because you're pretty well locked into it every week. Um,
I
unless he
agree.
puts a kick in, scores you 100. That's beautiful to see.
Yeah.
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 So
Next game up. Actually, you got anything on the Tigers, or you good there? Sorry,
yeah, just
Lockie
Lockie
Galvin. That's
Garvin.
it.
Go. Yeah, he's back. He's back. That's it. That's all we have to
He's
say.
back. Just don't
Stefano,
play
actually,
him.
I will say Stefano is
Oh,
flying, man. He is killing it right now. Obviously, he's the primo front row option in that team, and he's basically doing everything himself. So yeah, he's had a pretty hefty price jump already as well. It didn't take him long. He's already gone up 100K in a handful of weeks. Um, well, I suppose you say 5 weeks, so he's only had the one off, but he just keeps going up and up and up, man. Like there's another option for you. He's almost 600K now. Maybe missed the boat on it, but I think if you just wanted a solid, reliable front rower, um, no Origin most likely. doesn't play round 13, but he plays majority of every other bye actually throughout the rest of the period. So come bye rounds and stuff, could be a really nice option, because he's doing really well. Yeah.
I agree. The Titans versus the Manly Sea Eagles. Jaden Campbell, obviously not named with that knee injury. Interestingly, Philip Sami has been named at fullback. Now, watch closer to the day, guys, because I'd be very, very surprised if that's actually what happens at Phil Sami as a fullback. So I don't know what I think. Des is just playing some mind games with his old club. He will be obviously had this one in the calendar for some time. The madman, the mad scientist that Des is, he will be cooking some stuff up this week for his old club. No doubt he wants to get one on him after the way things sort of ended between the two parties. For Manly, they welcome couple of players back. So Matt Lodge is back. First game from his ACL injury. Ruben Garrick and Nathan Brown are back, and so is Jason Saab. So a number of returns. The only bad thing for a Supercoach point of view, Ben Trbojevic is out with that hamstring injury. So, and that looked like a decent one. So I reckon he'll be out for a couple of weeks. So, and the annoying thing is, I've looked at him. He actually has a pretty nice break even. So,
Yeah.
if I can at the moment, I'm going to actually hold him because it looks like with the Schuster news, Schuster's clearly not going to ever come back into this team. So when Ben Trbojevic is fit, I think they'll, even if he's not named, he'll at least get some time off the bench and get that extra little bit of price, a little bit of money. And then I can probably look to move him on. But for now, I'm happy just to keep swapping him in between second row and centers, and just having that ability to change up things and a bit of flexibility is nice. Jesse,
Yep.
what about super coach point of view?
Dave Fafita starts. So
Yes.
yeah, it's huge. I'm gonna try and rush him into my side this week. I think that's gonna be my big
Oh,
marquee. I'm going hard in the forwards. I'm just gonna sacrifice any depth that I've got in my center wing. Got plenty of cash getting made.
wow.
I can wait a couple weeks. Yeah, I want to be early on that train, mate. Straight into it.
I was going to
So,
say you probably want to get. We were just talking about it with Yo in Origin. You probably want to do the same with Fafita because if he's fit, he'll be named to start for sure for
oh,
Queensland. And
100%.
if you're
Yeah.
not getting on either this week or next week, I'd probably say because of Origin coming up, there's no point. So you probably want to jump on early.
Yeah, it's kind of the week to do it, really. I don't mind his break even either. It's 91. Um, shit, I don't mind a 91 break even for Fafita at all. I think getting him at 7.9 is a bargain. I don't really see him going much lower. If he does, it'll be for a week until he comes back up. So again, it's just a
And
bit of insight there. But
there's no doubt as well that Des doing Des things will be in his ear all week saying, you know who you're up against this weekend? The guy that everyone's talking about in Hamola Olakawatu, saying how good he's been, all this and that. Guess what your time is, David? Your time's to shine and to show people what you can do and how you are still the best second rower in this competition. I have no doubt in my mind Des is going to be playing so many mind games with his players this week. I just have this feeling this is the win for the Titans.
you reckon? I suppose
I
if
just
there's
have a
ever a team to
feeling.
beat,
I don't
yeah.
know what it is. I feel like this is their win this weekend.
Are you tipping the Titans?
Yeah, I think I am at the moment. My tipping hasn't been great, so I need to start making some moves. And
Could be the easiest
I'm
to get
contemplating
wrong.
even going. I might go to this game as well. I think it'll be a great game to watch.
There you go. A Titans game, great to watch. Things you didn't
Open
expect to
footy,
hear.
5:30, I think. So a bit of sunshine around, hopefully, still as we're getting into the dark. So
Yeah.
Tommy, DCE, they're all in a bit of form. So even if it's a
Well,
Manly whitewash, at least I'll be watching some good footy.
yeah, and you got Brimson in the halves now too. You know what I mean? Like they've changed things up a bit. Like it's a positive looking side, to be fair. Like they've got some good stuff going at the moment. Um, he almost becomes an option two at centre wing, being a 5'8" there. It's just he might be a little bit expensive, but I don't think it's too bad. 580. 58 break even, very, very solid pod option too. I don't think he's very heavily owned. Yeah, he's in 1% of teams.
Easy
Um,
trade up from Bostock.
yeah, not hard at all. If you want to back that too, it's a bit risky just seeing what the Titans have been doing for the last few weeks. But shit, if they can only get better, um, no one's going to have him. So not too bad. But his last three scores 80, 64, 56. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
So not bad. So there's some stuff going there. Like it's not too bad at all, really, for the Titans. Just have to see how things go, but definitely keen on Fafita, um, even this week. So yeah,
Shout out
for
to
Manly,
BKR Sport who has him in his team and he beat me in our Creator Cup on the weekend by 6 points because of AJ Brimson. So thanks for that.
there you go, man. See, he's already been winning head-to-heads for someone, so it's huge. That's what I mean. Like in your head-to-heads, no one's going to have him. Very, very rarely you're going to come up against the Brimson. So it's a good point of difference. Um, for Manly though, like we got Ruben Garrick back. I like Ruben Garrick this week. Obviously his break even is massive. It's like 141. But even still,
Yuck.
yeah, it's not nice. You can definitely wait a week on him. But I think if you're in a position where you need a center wing and you've got 700, he's a straight swap from Hammer with pretty much no money spent at all, basically identical. So it's more of like one of those plays you just do and you just commit. You're like, okay, I might lose 30, 40K this week. So be it. He'll make it back up in a few weeks' time. You just ride him out. You hold him through Origin. There's the fullback, most likely for Manly in that period. So like, there's a couple things you can do with him. Um, I just don't think there's too many people buying him in this week in general because of that break even. I think it's realistically like if you're going to fixture target anyone, it's the Titans. So
Yeah.
yeah, might be the only time
And
he doesn't get much of a look in
then their
because of the
next
break
five
even.
as well. They got the Titans this weekend. They got Para, Raiders, Dolphins, and then the Broncos.
Yeah, I
That's
like
magic
it.
around the Broncos as well. So it's not a bad little stretch for Manly either.
Yeah. So you get all that. He has got the round 13 bye, just Manly in general, but yeah, you take it for what it is. I think it's pretty decent pickup still, regardless.
Yeah.
Probably, might be
What?
worth looking at trading Brooks, but again, you wouldn't trade him after this week. Not for this round anyway. But Cherry Evans is flying, so seems to be doing all the work again, which you'd expect. Don't see
I
much
mean,
more up.
the Brooks thing, just I think it is one to quickly touch on with Luke Brooks because a lot of people do have him in the team. He started on fire at the start of the year, but I think things are definitely lulled in a way with Luke Brooks, and I don't own him because I was always a bit worried about what he would produce. And the way I see it now is that Dill Brown, for instance, yeah, granted he is more expensive, but he has not been playing anywhere. Like if you were to rate him and Luke Brooks at the moment, Luke Brooks for mine is a standout 5/8 in the competition compared to Dill Brown. But Supercoach wise, Dill Brown's still been able to score points that are very very similar to Luke Brooks, and if not beating him in a couple of the games. So I don't know what Luke Brooks' BE is off the top of my head, but if I was an owner of Luke Brooks, I would definitely be looking to have plans to get him out of my team probably next week, depending on what he can do this weekend against the Titans.
Yeah, so his break even's 54. He's averaging 54, so he's going to pretty well get that. I think he's gotten that the last few weeks. Started off really hot. He had the 59 and the 80, and that's a two. Like with those games, he almost got a try. He didn't get one over the line. There was a few things that could have really pushed his score up, but the last couple of weeks have just been basically 50, 55. So, it's nothing to complain too much about, but at his price point, definitely worth an upgrade. I think if you've got him, SJ's sailed pretty far away now. So is Cherry Evans, Hughes. Like they're all over 700. So you're kind of stuck in that position in a way. But if you can make some money outside of it, you just go straight up to Cleary or any of these other guys too. So not bad, but at least he's got the dual flexibility. It depends where you play him. If you're playing him in 5/8, I'd even half consider just nuffing him out for Galvin or Strange or any of these cheapies and just working around it because they're doing just as much, if not
Yeah.
more. If he's in your halfback spot and you don't have any position to shuffle, um, which I've got him in my halfback position, just doing a job, nothing too out of control, just being there for the movement really. But I'm probably just going to wait until Cleary's back and then I'll assess. I don't think I'll be changing too much from here, going next to next to next. I think I might just wait it out because it's not the worst ever. Like you can just get a 50 out, but this is the week too that you'd probably want to just see what happens from him. Hopefully, he can make some decent money and get you another 2 weeks. So
Yeah, I agree. I just think when I watched Manly play the last couple of weeks, the first few weeks, the element of surprise with Luke Brooks really helped him and score some really good points. Now the last few weeks, DCE and Turbo have really taken over that attack side of things for Manly and just really become the main guys there that we all predicted would happen eventually. And
Yeah,
sort of he'd be the backup singer there, Luke Brooks, which is now the case. Next game up, Broncos versus the Raiders. Good test here to see where the Raiders are at as a football club away to a Broncos side that's starting to gain some momentum. So the side is unchanged. So still there's no Adam Reynolds, no Payne Haas. Jock Madden's there at halfback. Reece Walsh will probably have the headgear on again and probably tear the Raiders a new one in this one. For the Raiders, only the one change, Zach Hosking replaced with his shoulder injury, and Atta Mariota starts with Simi Sasagi onto the bench as well. So good news is James Schiller is on the wing once again. So he is still minus break even, still making that cash. If you did not own him last week, you are hurting big time. To log on and see the price he already is, it's so good. And to know he literally just needs to run onto that field and there's already more money coming this week. Can't wait. And saying that,
yeah,
I don't think he's a play at all. I don't think he'll be a play against the Broncos this week, but just having that cash still coming in, he'll almost be up to Bostock already in the next week or two. So it's crazy.
yeah. It's what can happen when you score 5 tries or whatever it is in the last few games. So yeah, it's nuts, man. He's just had the best 3 opening games that you can really get. I'm so glad that he's named again too. Like it would have been nasty having a minus 60 break even, just chipping away, waiting for him to come back. But yeah, he's I don't expect a huge score, obviously, against the Broncos. Not like he's had the last couple of weeks. For any of them, to be fair, even Strange too. Like their last couple of games have been really nice for cash gen, but you'd expect that to be a bit harder this week. But providing he scores 60 points, there's another 100K for us. So huge. 250K in 2 weeks. Like
So
you'll take it. Even
bring
still,
it on.
it's
Have you
minus
changed
60.
your
Doesn't have to do much.
yeah? For the Broncos, have you changed your mind in regards to Reece Walsh, or have you changed any sort of thoughts behind him? I still
Yeah.
don't think he's a play, as crazy as it sounds. But he just produced like he. I didn't think he'd be as busy as he was on the weekend. He was so busy still, and it was remarkable to see. Like the injury he is still carrying quite clearly, and to be as busy as he was, I just thought he was going to be sort of like that on-field coach type role for the Broncos, but he wasn't afraid to get involved with anything. So he's doing the right stuff. For some reason, he just doesn't speak out to me as a player to have.
Yeah. Well, obviously, with the amount of work that he done, he only scored 38. He's still got that one in his average rolling as well. So his break even's 164. Good chance we
Oh,
see Walsh in the 500s after this week. Um,
talk
if
to
that
me.
happens, yeah, I don't know. I still don't love it. Like I just don't like having him in my side in general. Obviously,
Yeah.
money talks, and when he's around 550 odd K, then you start to have a different discussion about whether he's worth getting in or not. I think at that point, yes, because there's very little risk involved anyway. And he'll definitely outscore that point in general. But I think, yeah, I wouldn't get on him this week. I would probably at least wait a week or two. Um, Next week, he's got the Tigers. So it just depends. Like, if you can really balance that out, shorten down what he's going to lose, but hope he loses just enough. Yeah, might be worth looking bringing in, but again, like who are you going to move
It'd be a,
for him?
it'd be very fixture based, I think, that play, because he's very,
Yeah,
very reliant on the attacking stats. So you got to wait for that perfect moment in the Broncos' jaw where they've got a couple of easy opposition coming up. And that's when you go, you know what? That's where I'm going to get Reece Walsh.
yeah. Like they got the Raiders this week coming, and then Tigers, Roosters, Eels, Manly, Titans, and then they get the round 13 bye as well. So and then Origin at the
And
same time.
Origin.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I'm like in my position at the moment with the fullbacks that I've got, Drinkwater and Ponga. I'm enjoying it. I'm
Flying.
enjoying the ride, flying. They're very expensive. Like, I could really use that money anywhere else, but at the same time, I still wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
The neither of the two, I'd be flipping a coin saying which one makes the cut. I'd I can't see anyone. Honestly, there's not another fullback in the league at the moment, regardless of price, form, or anything that I'd rather have than them two. So that's what I mean. It's just hard. If you got an injury and your hand is forced, and you think, oh man, I can make some things happen now. Yeah, that's kind of the only position I'd do it in, but it wouldn't be out of choice.
I agree. Moving on, because we have a heap to get into still for this show.
Yeah.
Bulldogs versus the Newcastle Knights. So Connor Tracy named at fullback after starting there last week. Blake Taff has been named on the bench. That's really the only notable, like the big change there for the Bulldogs. The rest stay sort of as is. Josh Curran does move to that lock position with Jamin Semen at second row. I just don't know why Jameis Semen is still starting in this football team. I don't know. He must have some sort of goss on Serrata that they don't want
Who
getting
else?
out, and he just
Who else have they got at the
don't know.
moment? Until Max King's
Yeah,
back in the side, there's not much else you can do.
it just doesn't suit me. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Like he started it from the start, so they've always got big decent raps on him. I just don't see it, and I've never seen it. But anyway, Newcastle Knights, Callum Ponga has been named despite that hip injury, but keep an eye on that because that's so weird. That looks so painful. He clearly got an injection at halftime, became a different player. Luckily
Yeah.
for our super coach players who do have Kalen Ponga. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. Nothing really speaks out to me at the moment, super coach wise, for both of these. I think the big one is probably Newcastle Knights. Kai Pierce Paul is sort of still hovering around, showing little glimpses of an
Mm.
absolute freak of a player he can
Oh,
be.
yeah, it's a
But
weapon.
again, it's glimpses. And Josh Curran, that duel is still so handy, and it just looks so good when you see it. I still don't have him in my team, and there's still every week I just prioritize other stuff, and I hate not having him just because he's been very, very consistent.
Mm. Yeah, it'd be nice to have had him beforehand, but you know, if you've got Ruben Cotto, I know you probably spent up an extra 120K more than Curran was to begin with, for a pretty similar output. There's no urgent rush, but yeah, it's just good to have him having that flexibility, dual position in front row, particularly. I reckon there is some pretty relevant changes for Supercoach in this one.
Look out.
Jacob Carraz is on the wing.
Oh, hey, your boy.
Yeah, Jacob Carraz outside Bronson Cherry, like that's
Like they couldn't
massive,
drop
man.
Sherry after that performance
No,
on that was
no.
incredible.
Yeah, no, he looks too good at the moment too. So he's a great one as well. Negative break even, 340 odd K. Like, yeah, he looks like he's going to keep it as well. So I don't mind that play. Obviously the limelight's on Kyle Ero, but if you can do two, you could do worse, especially for the price. But yeah,
Can I
Jacob Carraz on the
quickly
wing, love it.
I wanna quickly ask you this, and it's probably no, I'll do it now anyway. This is how we run this show. We just whatever we think about, we just spit out. We spoke about it off air over the week, and when is the time to start going, enough is enough of cheapies, and we need to start looking at some serious keeper sort of trades because you just saying it just then, it does stand out to me. Ero is a huge option this week, and we're going to talk about trades later. And he's easily probably the most traded, or if not the top two or three for this week. I understand it, especially if he's going to keep that spot moving forward, which it looks like for this foreseeable future. But just when do we? Because for mine, I feel like it's the next week or two. We sort of stop with the whole, yep, cash, 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 and we actually start going points, 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 points.
Yeah, it's a fine line to try and keep going at the same time. Like you don't want to just go cash cash every single week when, you know, you start falling behind, then you're 40,000, 50,000, not climbing back. By then it's too
Yeah,
late. I suppose you always got to have points at the forefront too, as long as the cash is there to get them. At the moment too, like I'd imagine a lot of people are in a very similar position to what we are when it comes to making cash, and a lot of that, especially in the forwards, pretty much has dried up. You know, there's not too much changing. Maybe your Sam Hughes or Mariotta's or Willison or any of these front rowers, they're all just sort of chipping away, yo-yoing up and down. Your halves are leaking cash unless you've got SJ, because they all seem to be at the moment anyway. And then your center wing is Strange, Schiller. Bostock, Tulungi, all these guys that have just got mad negative break evens. So position wise, a lot of people are in the same boat. I think you sort of want those big guys now, realistically. That's what I'd be looking at personally doing this week too, is just get some big points guys in because the cash is there. It's just sort of chipping away in the background. Give it a couple of weeks and you can turn those into someone and go backwards. But the thing is, like, you need to go from them to down to someone as well. Like, especially if you're doing a 2 for 2. Kyle Hero is a good option at the moment for anyone that needs to cash out of something, like a Bostock that's already made that money, so you can keep turning it over. So, um, like if you've got money in the bank and you can go, oh, cool, Bostock's 500, I've got 200 left, and I can just go straight up to someone quality and keeper. Perfect case scenario, you know. I mean, you've done that plan well. If Bostock's your ticket to get someone in a different position up, you need him to go down to someone. There's your Kyle Hero. So like it's all relative to the team. It's relative to the positions that you're upgrading as well. Yeah, if it's a straight one for one swap, you want your cheapies to become cash like premium options as easy as possible. But again, like the amount of injuries and shit that we've had this year, and HIAs and fucking hamstrings and players getting dropped and coming back, and it's just all over the place. You don't even know. Like a lot of people traded Talungi out last week. I think we
Yeah.
might get 1 or 2 weeks out of him where he might actually make a little bit of coin, and then you're going to want to move him on because he's just going to become a nightmare for you. Whether or not Kyle Hero is in the same position, I have no idea. Obviously, they're putting Stone Street out there on the wing, and they're keeping him in the centers, and Talakai is still on the bench. So that alone puts a bit of confidence in that play, and I think yeah, maybe Hero's actually a good play long term. And if he can do what he did in the first game, you know, there's nothing saying that he can't be a viable play as a good option. But again, when he's priced up to a point and he has a couple of shit games, you're gonna want to look to upgrade him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very hard to determine what like keeper level status is unless they're like your Val Holmes or any of these top dogs at the moment. So yeah.
I agree. Final game of the round, the Cronulla Sharks versus the North Queensland Cowboys. You've already mentioned it. So Katoa's out with a suspension, so Sam Stone Street will make his NRL debut. And Braden Hemlin-Ueli comes onto the bench for his first game of the year. So keep an eye on that for a middle forward rotation. If you do have any of the Sharks props, there'll be obviously probably be a little bit of less minutes there with Hemlin-Ueli coming back and getting a much more involved role than other players in the past. Cowboys, Semi Valame comes back onto the wing for Murray Tulangi in the only change there for the Cowboys. So, any final words on this game for a Supercoach side of things, Jesse?
No, we just spoke on Hero,
Yeah.
obviously looking like a bit of a gun. Velame's back in the side now at the expense of Murray's hamstrings. He's so expensive, Semi Velame. He's like 600 and something, so not an option. Outside of them, man, I don't really think anyone else is at the moment. Robson's got a really low break even. He's 700k. Um, no, not too much going.
Perfect. Let's get into the trade side of the show. Let's go ours first. I said I'm struggling at the moment, guys. I wanted to just have something for the show to talk about. So what I quickly did before we came on, I've done this one and already I don't really like some of it. So I've traded Hammer to Mulatalo. I'm just liking what I've seen from Mulatalo, but more I've spoken about it, the more I'm liking either the Garrick or the DWZ play. I think I will probably change that one there. I've gone Bostock to Iro just to have that last little bit of extra cash there to make a big play. That's my first option, and that leaves me with 608k, which is pretty crazy to think about in the bank. I don't want to have sort of that in the bank. I feel like that's definitely another player. So if I hit that boost button, I've got 3 boosts still remaining. Um, the one I've got at the moment, which I'm not going to stick with, I'm probably going to swap to another non-playing player like Farmasili or something. I can go them over to Isaiah Yo, who I was looking at just for that consistent points player in my back row, who I can just sit there and leave. But I'm definitely open to moving that to someone else who has a bit of a higher ceiling and moving who I got Cotter and moving him up to the prop forward position as well. So that's just my quick one. And if I do make that boost trade, I'll leave myself with about 105K or so in the bank. Jesse, have you got anything for us before we open it into the viewer trades and team analysts? I can't even
Um,
speak.
Not sort of. Like I'm definitely boosting this week. I haven't done it for the last few. I've still got 3 left. I've been holding on to it, thinking I'll be boosting every week, and I just haven't done it yet. To be fair, I've been able to work around it. This week I lost to Tola and I lost Hammer. So it's definitely been forced my hand in those directions. And the first thing that I looked at doing,
Are you okay that you have to part ways with your boy?
yeah, to be honest, it was actually quite good having him. I enjoyed it,
It's
to
a
be honest.
forced
It was
one.
fine. It was fine. Like I was having a good time with him, and now he's gone. So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, he's a fallen soldier. He will be remembered. Um, as a straight swap, I can go to Toller and Hammer out. I can put I can shuffle some things around, Ruben Cotter up. I can get Angus Crichton and Ruben Garrick in with no boost. It means I don't boost for Carlero. I don't need to. Um, Again, that ship will sail on me and I'll let him go. I might regret it, but I don't know if I'm going to do that yet. Another move that I looked at, which I really did like, to be honest, it was again to Toll out, um, Hammer out, and I think it was Bostock out. And it involved a bit of a shuffle, but I get in Fanua Blake, Day for Feeder, and Kylero. It's very solid
There's some big
options.
dogs.
Leaves me
Big
with 4K
dogs.
in the bank. Yeah, 4K in the bank, and I love that. When it's so
That's
close
wild.
to 0, I'm like, it's a sign. It's almost a sign I have to do this. Um, I mean, I'm about 1.2K off getting Dallin instead of Garrick too with my previous trade, so it hurt doing that. Because if I could afford Dallin, I'd be 100% putting him in. But I really like the Fanua Blake and Dave Fafita forward pack. Because it'll leave me with, like, my front rowers of Fanua Blake, Cotter, Terrell May, and then my second row will be Fafita, Katoa, Smithies, um, and Kai Pearce-Paul, with just a couple of
Yeah, I
Shillers
don't mind
on the side, and I really like the look of it. It looks great, but again, I would have to play both Schiller and Strange in my center wing because I just
that
have no
against
one
the
left.
Bronx.
Yeah, it's not nice. I think it might hurt me more than it actually helps, but it would mean my only good center wings are Valentine Holmes and Tuivasa Sheck, who's been very average of late. So I might not do it, but when everyone zigs, you zag. It's kind of the way around getting points up. But
Just do it. Just do it. Now, I did mention that we had a number of people actually, obviously, League of Inches community members. Shout out again, guys. If you aren't a part of it, the subscriber hub is now available. It's for just $3.99 a month, just helping support the page moving forward, helping us grow, helping us get better equipment, things like that, helping us get some additional merch as well for myself, the boys, and for you guys. Just everything that goes into the page helps the page continue to grow, which we really do appreciate. If you can be that monetary member and donate that $3.99 per month. But a couple of the boys have messaged through. The first one, I'll bring up the screen now. So again, if you haven't watched this on the YouTube, please do. He wants us to help him out with his team and also some trades this week. So Jonah Lowe, thank you for reaching out. This was a Instagram one, I believe. So you can see his team up on the screen now. I'll quickly run through it for those podcast listeners who can't get to their screen. So just quickly, hookers are Grant, Lussick, front rowers, Fanua Blake, May, Hughes, and Farmer Silly. Hey, that's my bench forwards as well. How shit is it having Farmer Silly? But anyway, Kai Pearce, Paul, Sean Lane, Smithies, Ben Trebojevic, M. Martin. Is that Mika Martin from the League of Inches podcast? Look out. And then Billy Armour for feeder as well. Halfback Nico Hines and Aiden Caesar. Dylan Brown, Ethan Strange are your 5'8s. The wings slash centers. Val Holmes, Joey Manu, Hammer, Schiller, Talangi, Fatape, and Gagai. Fullbacks are Drinkwater, and who he has currently got the C on. Don't mind that play this week. And Kalen Ponga is the reserve. We actually didn't speak about our captains and vice captains, but we'll probably do that after this now. there is some 1, 2, and 3 trades he's talking about as well. So this will help shape his team. That's one of the things he is asking us about. So the first one is trade out Hema and Fatape for Iro and Mulatalo. Hey, that was what I was. I didn't even get to look at that. Look at that. Second option is Sean Lane, who I personally am a bit over having as well. I would love to move him on. I'm holding him this week because I think that the Dolphins are looking a little bit weak, so I think he might be able to score decently. But after that, I'm looking to get rid of him as well. Hammer for Tohu Harris, who hasn't really been spoken about, and Selwyn Cobo. So a couple of real pod sort
Mm,
of plays there. I love seeing these pod plays. It really gets me going. And then the third option, Caesar and Hammer out for Cleary going early, I guess, on Cleary. So you probably don't want to do that now, and Iro as well. So option 3 for mine is definitely out while Cleary isn't playing.
yeah.
So there's between 1 and 2. I think we've got to decide on the trade before we actually talk about his team in a way, because one thing I'll say about his team is I don't like so many sort of non-playing or very low playing players in like the reserves and non-playing players. I think
Yeah.
he's not really generating any real cash at the moment. And I know we're getting to that point where you have just your stocks and your gun players, but there's just I think he's going to get himself into a little bit of a corner soon.
It seems like a little bit too. Like his front row, Sam Hughes is the only one doing anything. In his second row bench, there's no one at the moment now that Burbo's injured.
Yeah, that's the
Um, and then when it comes down to the center wing bench, Gagai and Fatape both gone. Talagi's, you know, see what happens there. And then he's lost Hammer, unfortunately. You can't predict that.
yeah.
That's just shit. We've all with the three of us, all
Yeah.
three of us have the same boat for there. So I don't know. It's a bit tricky because there's holes in a lot of positions. I I don't know if it's worth boosting this round or not. Um, Potentially, just with the lack of options that you've got. Um, you don't really have any options besides the players you've got the reserves on. There's no one else there that you do anything with. So I know it'd be very nice to get like a Mulatalo or your Clearian or something. Man, I might even be looking at parting that cash out, getting an Angus in your second row instead of a Tohu, saving 200 and something K. And, even Cobo, like Cobo's decent too. I really like that play too. I think he's a good price, to be fair. He's
Yeah.
like 560 or something. So um, I don't
Credit
mind it.
credit
I
to
don't see,
Cobo,
yeah, I don't see a lot
huge
of
credit to
Cobo
Cobo
clubs.
because we sort of doubted him, I guess, in a way. I know I did. I didn't know. I wasn't a big fan of the center move, but he's been phenomenal. I feel like early on this year in making that center position his own.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think he's done a really good job with it. I don't know if you'd be able to afford it or not, but if it was worth, if you're really set on Cobo, maybe it could be something where you do like a Hammer Lane and Fatape out for like Eero, Cobo, and Crichton. That way
Yeah.
you've got cash coming in from two players. You kind of get a second row at the same time. Yeah, you've got money getting made in Schiller, but that's the only one, unfortunately. Um,
And that could quickly become a headache because if Hopewadi's fit next week, I've got no
yeah,
doubt Hopewadi comes back in that team, and then all of a sudden, he pretty much has no depth in that backline. So I think backline is definitely a priority for him this week. Sean Layden's bit of a luxury trade, even though I'm not happy with him either at the moment. He'll do a job for you this weekend. I
yeah,
feel like you've got some other areas to prioritize for
yeah.
this
Even
week,
if
especially
the
and get
money's there, I know. Apparently Burbo's 3 weeks out with his grade one hamstring. So, if Burbo could be the move that you get out of your side, I don't. I wouldn't advocate for it because his break even's really low. Um, but yeah, you could do that too.
the
Just
other
got
thing
some
there
time
is
to work out.
Caesar with the R. A lot of people are obviously going to move to Cleary when he's back named because Penrith do have a very, very nice looking draw coming up. If you're not going to get onto Cleary, you're going to be left behind. It's as simple as that. You can't go into this next part of Supercoach, in my opinion, with Aiden Caesar as your reserve halfback.
Yeah. Obviously the gap between Cleary and him is a lot. It's very
Yeah,
expensive. So you just be
got to make some plans.
you gotta downgrade one of your guns. Um,
What about
I'll
Tohu
possibly
Harris? What's your thoughts on that one?
I don't mind it. I just think, as just a single 2RF, he doesn't have a dual status. Hasn't really been too exciting as far as I can see, from what I've seen from Tohu this year. Hasn't even been too much in the spotlight. He's just sort of, I think he's just been doing a job. Because the price isn't bad, 630. I feel like there's a bit more upside in some of these other players at the moment too. Even still, like obviously, there's been a couple with like Blore and Crichton and stuff pop up. He's had a 67, 63, 48, and his latest score 84. So it's actually been pretty good from Tohu. Pretty consistent. Lowest is a 41, highest is an 84, with about a 60 to 65 average going through it. So he's pretty much priced at what he's going to get you. Um, Not a bad thing. I just think in the position that you've got with the lack of depth around, I don't know, you might be wanting to look at getting some of these stuff bolstered a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sort of in a weird way. It is so weird to say. I probably would be prioritizing that depth side of things this week, and as much as it would pain you to do so, boosting to make that happen and just get a bit better of depth in some certain positions, I just think is the smarter play at this time of year because, as we said, like sooner or before we know it, it's going to be Origin. There's going to be players missing games. There's going to be restings happening as well as the injuries that we've got to deal with. And trust me, Origin's coming up with the injuries already that's happened. It's going to get more. It's going to get more intense. If we think the
Yeah.
injuries are bad now, I've got no doubt this year is going to be horrible when it comes to Supercoach in that Origin period. So you've got to make sure you've got a little bit of depth there, so you can't get locked into too many of these real cheapy guys that just sit there. Like Fafita's a pain in the ass now. The fact that he hasn't been playing Army Fafita, that Martin guy. Sorry, I don't even know who he is. That's another pain in the ass. Just
Mm,
there's a lot of pains in the asses here that Jonah, you've got to just fix up
yeah.
because there's some good quality players in this team that's going to do your job for you, going to get you some points each and every week. You've just got to improve the depth.
Mm. Yeah, it's not even too much. Like Gagai is obviously never coming back. Just turn him into Kyliro. At least make some money out of it. You did with Schiller. I don't know how long you've had him, but he's obviously gone up. Um, if you want to hold Fartape, you can. I don't know if he's going to come back in anytime soon. It's 1 week so far that we know he's not in there, so it could be worth waiting. But then the second rows are nowhere. So yeah, I'd just be looking at just starting to reset that cash too, because it's just going to go flat at the moment. At least that way you can move forward. But you got some guns. That's the thing. Like the guns are there. You got Holmes, Manu, Grant, Fanua Blake, um, Nico Hines, Dylan
Fullbacks.
Brown, and the fullbacks. You got the same fullbacks that I do. Freaking solid. So like, there's so much money in these big players at the moment, and I find them in the same position where I'm like, fuck, I've just got to part someone out, but I don't want to do it. But now that Hammer's out, it's kind of forced your hand in a way. So I've been waiting for the same position as you have. I think now I've got to do something with this money, and just use it wisely. Obviously, the Cleary trade, if he was in this week, I would 100% say get Cleary in this week. Um, and I suppose you still can afford to if you want to wait a week, because I'd imagine he's back next week. But again, like if you use that money up now to get any of these other guys and strengthen it, you're pretty much saying I can't get Cleary next week unless you sacrifice, Manu or anyone else. So
I hope we've
yeah,
helped you out, Jonah. Please message the page again if you want anything clarified or cleared up a little bit for you. If you have another trade option that you want us to look at, but for now, we've probably confused you more than anything. But yeah, look at
yeah.
that depth
Sorry,
side of
mate.
things, and that's the thing at the moment. And we keep saying it this week. Just for me, feels like it's a week where we've all been able to breathe a bit from the absolute smashing we've copped the last couple of weeks injury wise,
Mm,
and we can actually look at some things because that force change of the hammer, which has been in a number of teams last couple of weeks, just opens up the avenue of so much. So I think it's a really, really exciting week for Supercoach, and I'm glad this is the week that a few people have sent their teams through. Next up is Mark Clausen, who messaged through his page again, even before I put the shout out there. So another keen Supercoach listener, player, everything. So shout out and thank you once again, Mark, for your support. So quickly for the podcast listeners, once again, shout out on to Spotify and Apple and anywhere else you listen to. Just make sure you hit that bell icon and the subscribe like button as well there. So hookers, Reese Robson, who has been killing it. We'll talk about that next. Joey Lussick as well. Stefano, he's a Stefano owner, so he's been loving life with him. Credit there. And Regan Campbell Gillard. That's the first time I've seen Regan Campbell Gillard in a
Mm,
team that isn't a draft team because I have him in my draft. So Flegler and Fainu as well. Second rowers, Hopgood, good old Hoppy, Ford and Cotter with Lane, McIntyre, and Hetherington in the reserves. Halfback is Caesar and Brooks. 5'8", Dylan Brown, Lockie Galvin. Center wings is Valentine Holmes, Savage, Strange, and Schiller. Geez, he went all in on the Raiders on the weekend. How good's that?
mm.
Montoya, Talangi, and Fatape. Fullbacks are Ponga and Tuapiki. Okay. Um, this one, he didn't actually have any trades in mind. I think he said he just wanted us to look at the team and point out some things that we were either concerned about, maybe point him in the direction of some certain things. So, Mark, if you have a message further that from that, I do apologize. I just haven't had time to look at any of the other messages if you have got trades involved, but that's what I remember reading from this. Firstly, I look at that and I think Tuapiki needs to find a way to make that another gun fullback because it's getting to that point of the game where everyone's going to have your two gun fullbacks and getting that week in, week out points. You're going to be left behind not having that, especially when you've got Caesar Brooks in the halves as well. So you've got a couple of really big scoring positions that you need to sort of start to fix up. And I think that starts this week by making some moves. And obviously with the halves, he's got 334.5K in the bank as well. So he can make some decent moves this week. Even someone like, for instance, Savage, who has been scoring okay. I think the weekend at 34 is a sign of things to come. While he's at 500K, I don't know if he'll stay there for much longer. Look to move him on. Look to start to do something there. Um, I don't know. Where are you at,
Mm.
Jesse, with this team? Because again, there is some good things, but there's also some stuff where I'll just sort of I'll wince a little
Yeah.
bit.
Um, I wouldn't rush Savage out yet. I think he's still got another little bit of cash to make too. All three of them. Like I don't touch the Raiders guys yet. You know, bide your time, be patient. They're going to make more money. Savage will be the first one to trade when they do sort of cap because he'll be the soonest to. But don't rush. It's very top heavy. That's what I'll say about it. Obviously, it's big investment in the forwards and just not as much in the backs in general. I like the hookers. I think Robson Lussick's a fantastic combination if you can run with it, which you've got. Beautiful. Like you'll be laughing all season with that. A lot of money in the props, considering you've got Flegler on the bench injured. I think at this stage you've got Campbell Gillard. I wouldn't like Campbell Gillard as my main guy, but in this position that I'm in, Flegler has to go. If you can hold Flegler and move Campbell Gillard, perfect. At the moment, you can't. So I think with that and how much he costs, you just get rid of him and you just go cheap
Yeah,
there.
I was about to say that. Hughes or
Um,
Henry
yeah, probably Willison even too, because he's
or
still got the
Wilson. Yeah,
negative.
yeah.
I think Willison's going to stick around as well um, when Haas is back in. So Wilson with the negative will still go up in cash. Henry's break even's about 50 odd. So he'll probably lose a little bit, but he'll hover around that 300 mark. A lot of these guys will, and you can bank yourself 200 something K. And then all of a sudden you got half a mil in the bank for one player. And then you can go Torpiki out to a gun fullback instantly. You know what I mean? Like you're very close
Mm.
to doing it. Um, your second row, like obviously premium. I don't know when you got Jackson Ford in, if it was recently, it probably paid overs. But if you had him, since the beginning of his run, I would look
Well
to
done.
probably cash out personally on that. Don't not completely unnecessary too, but I think just get yourself some center wings and a fullback, even a half too. Like Caesar and Brooks aren't what you want. I think now that Nico's pretty much hit his floor, it seems. I don't see him going anywhere. It could be worth getting him in there for the fixture that's coming up. Obviously, Cleary's not available yet. You just need these guys. You just need these weapons to sort of come through. Admittedly, we've had them since the beginning and weren't scoring bucket loads of points. So take that with a bit of a grain. But just in general, you know what I mean? Like halves and fullbacks, your high scorers, and you've got one good fullback and no really good half. The 5'8s that you've got are fine. They'll continue to do it. But yeah, Fatape, Montoya, outside of a couple of them, obviously last week was an exception because the Raiders played freaking great and they made good points. So you're not going to play the Titans every week though. So
Yeah.
um,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately not. But yeah, I think just for the week, if you're looking at making some moves up, Flegel out to a Willison. Um, could even go. I don't know how the money works up. I can't do the math on me real quick, but Flegler out, Sean Lane maybe out, maybe not. To Willison or a Crichton in your second row. Cash down, start again. They'll get to that price as well. And then if you've got the money for it, Caesar or Brooks to a Hines or a Torpiki up to, a gun. I think Turbo's quite cheap now, considering, what his status usually is, or I think he's still in the 700s. There's things you can do, man. It's just there's a lot there. I would be making these moves at the moment. I'd be going gun first. Just get your guns
Yeah.
in. Um, yeah, Turbo's about 800k almost now, 797, maybe a bit high. Gutho 685 again. Had a really good game last week, 84 points. If you want to get onto that, I still feel like he's got some points in him. Or you've got Ponga, thank God. Um, Drinky as well. I like Drinky, even Edwards, but just depends on how much money you have. But yeah, I would just look at those positions, half fullback, cash down on some of your forwards, and spread the love.
Yeah. No.
Looks
I
solid though.
pretty much
Like looks like he's making some points.
yeah, can't complain there at all. That's it for that bit. So definitely have some comments and questions as well to quickly go through. So one from Chris Ross. I didn't get time to put your team up, mate. I really do apologize. You've been a massive fan of the show and constantly messaging the page, which I do apologize for. But I'll read out what your trades were. This was before Team List Tuesday. He did say that. So at the moment, Hammer, he's brought in Mulatalo for, and he's dropped Flanagan for Martin. And he used his last boost. Now, this is an interesting topic of conversation to get rid of Kepi and bring in Xavier. And I messaged him afterwards and I said,
Don't know what he's
reverse
doing.
that. Do not use your last boost at this stage of the year because you will just be shooting yourself in the foot multiple times. So you don't want to be doing that at all. So he did end up going, no worries. I'll back you out of that one. But the other two, like Flanagan for Martin, there's a lot of talk about Tamari Martin so far, and I don't think Flanagan's doing too much to get excited about anymore. Sort of his early sort of
Yeah,
form and party celebration mode's already over. And yeah, again, Hammer. I don't mind that Militalo, and but the more we spoke about it, the more I don't mind either sort of the Garrick or the DWZ play. Both sort of teams have some decent runs coming up as well, so I don't mind looking at those two. But again, Militalo and the Sharks also have a decent sort of run, and he's clearly a focal point of their attack at the moment. So if you're paying for him, yep, you're paying upwards, and he's probably almost as high as he'll get to this year at a Supercoach
yeah,
level. And Jesse was scarred from him last year, and probably still wears some of those scars that he just couldn't get those Sharks
always.
wingers right week in week out. But we'll see what happens there. Got one from Cooper. His trades are Nenai to Crichton and either Talon May or Talangi for TMM, shifting Strange to center wing. You can go that one, Jesse.
Yeah, I don't mind. I suppose Nanai down is you're banking a bit doing that too, I'd imagine. So I don't mind it. I think getting Crichton in's great regardless of who you dropping out, to be honest. Tamari Martin in for Talangi or Taylor May. Just the fact that Taylor May's starting and I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Hopefully not. Anyway, keep an eye out on this week. If it was going to happen, it would have already happened. So I think he's going to stick around. I would say probably boot Tulungi out because he kind of just
Yeah.
you're not going to get much more out of him at the moment. You might get one bit of a bump of a price rise, and Taylor May's probably going to drop in price this week. But over the long term, you're definitely going to want to have someone like Taylor in your side first up. Um, but yeah,
Nah, I
outside of
think it was
that,
Tuolungi, the Cowboys Tuolungi winger.
oh, Murray Talagi,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
oh,
sorry, Murray
oh,
Tuolungi,
that's
yeah.
oh, okay. Sorry, I was thinking Blaze.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's kind of different then. He's injured, so he's got to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got a hamstring, so that's a different story. Yeah, because he's a great player, man. He's been really good. I've got him in my draft side now. I don't. He's on my bench, so yeah, that's a bit of a shame. I think with how much money he gets though, like so you've gone pretty hard in some Cowboys players there with Nanai, um, and Murray as well. But
Good play
what's
early.
Nanai? 512. So between him and Crichton, what's that? It's about 60K. Um, yeah, it's decent enough. It's like I'd imagine that he's got quite a bad break even too. Yeah, 82. Time to get off. Nanai. So I don't
Yeah.
mind that at all. With Talangi though, he is 607. Bloody hell, big money. Good break even too. It's a bit of a shame that he's not there anymore. Man, you got some options now. I don't know how much you got in the bank, but just depends if you want to go cash. Obviously, if you're looking at prolonging your cash gen, I'd be going for just get me a gun. You see, you're losing one in a way. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting
Mm.
Murray Talangi in to get you cash. You're getting him to make you points because he was not cheap to begin with. I'd just be extending that and just going, who else is going to get me some good points?
I
Because
agree.
by
Uh,
then, you're probably up 700,
yeah. Couple
guaranteed.
others in the Instagram comments. Yes, look out. Aussie hip hop collector Blaze for Angus Crichton. So obviously with a dual, probably Burbo, I reckon it'd be his
Yeah.
dual. He's just swapping around.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't mind that. The only if there was anyone else you could do that for in the back line, I'd probably just say wait 1 week at least for Blaze just for that price rise that he's got getting. It just feels like well, it's a player that's gonna make cash, just let it happen and then see what
Yeah.
happens. So
If he's your only way to get Angus in, though, Angus's price rise is going to
do it.
far offset Talangi's price
Mm,
rise. Um, if you wait a week to get 20K, you miss out on 50K. Like you're
mm.
not going to be able to afford it. I think if that's your only position, then you have to go, yeah, sweet, I'll sacrifice this little bit that I would have made for how much more I'll get. If there's anyone else you can do it with, um, yeah, do that instead. But that's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah,
Not
I
doable.
don't mind it either. And only having one trade at the moment, I'd love to only have to do one trade. My team being that good. The underscore Cashos, McIntyre to Angus, love it. Burbo to Iro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like it. Even though Burbo does have some money to make when he finally comes back, who knows how long that is. And we're going to boost Savage to Lomax. Not now, he's at center. Yeah, good, smart thinking there.
Yeah. Smart call.
I'm scared off Lomax as well.
Um,
Unfortunately, until he
yeah,
comes to Parramatta next couple of weeks.
next year. Um, I think the Burbo to Kylero plays fair because, give it a week's time, Kylero will be worth more than Burbo will anyway. And if for whatever reason you have to downgrade someone or you have to go crawling back to Burbo in 3, 4 weeks' time when he's back from injury, you might be able to bank some cash from Kylero and do that. If you have to. Like I don't I would want to go crawling back to Burbo if I had any other chance, but um it won't take him long to outscore him points wise, like value. Sorry, he'll be dearer than him in 2, 3 weeks. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, easy
hundred
to do.
percent. Yeah, and the McIntyre one is brilliant.
Oh, the
Do that,
McIntyre's a no
please.
brainer.
Yeah. The Wandering Rooster, Hammer and Burbo to Crichton and Tupo. Look out, old Tupo getting a run. Had a decent game on the weekend for the
Mm.
mighty Chookies. So how about you? You can take this one because you are a Chooks man as well. So let's see if you head or heart.
Yeah, look, I'm all over the Crichton play every time. I'll just say I don't even need to go into that. Tupou's a different one though. Like I've had Tupou in various different periods of the year in my drafts. He always seems to just be on the waivers too, for whatever reason. Like he might come in and get dropped and get picked up for a fixture, do shit all in that fixture, and then score 2 tries against someone quite hard when no one expected it. So very unpredictable. It's kind of like a Mulatalo in a way, where if he doesn't score his tries and get stuff, he doesn't really seem to score anything. Um, which kind of does hurt him a little bit. But yeah, very much a pod play. Again, I'm very hesitant to kind of go in on him, thinking he's going to be my Mr. Reliable. So yeah, there's a reason why he has these fluctuations. You look at his previous scores throughout the years, and it's just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Doesn't do it every game, but yeah,
I
I
agree.
wouldn't.
Last
To be honest,
couple,
I wouldn't.
yeah,
Mm,
last couple on Facebook here. Uh, Rio Beno, I hope I've got that right. Sorry, brother, if I haven't. Please message Pod. Let me know how to pronounce your name moving forward. Chevy Gus. Oh, he just literally said who he's bringing in. I think Chevy Gus and C and K. So Crichton is Gus, by the way, guys. If you don't know that, that's his nickname. Chevy Stewart. You can probably wait another week for Chevy Stewart. I just don't know what's happening in that Raiders team at the moment. We know what Ricky's like with his team, so like Chevy was okay on the weekend, but I didn't see enough to warrant
yeah,
getting him straight into the side. So just be careful. And CNK, I think he has lost his centre wing duel, hasn't he?
yeah. He's just
So
a
you're putting
fullback
him straight
now.
into fullback. I'm just worried with his obviously his injury history, concussion
Yeah.
history being great for a rugby on a rugby league standard point of view, but I think there's some other fullback options I'd be going for at the moment other than CNK.
I think just with that too, like obviously there's better options than C and K in general. But again, mad pod, big time. And if you've
Mm,
got Hammer in your fullback, which I wouldn't advise to do anyway now that he's gone, but that's probably an easy swap to do, going sideways. You don't really have to change too much of the team's value.
mm.
But again, I don't know who you're trading out, man.
Yeah,
You're trading
that's
out to get these players in, like Chevy Stewart. If you don't have your predictable group of cashies at the moment, he wouldn't be the first on my list because at least the other guys have more security than he does. I
yeah,
think, give it a time when even next week where you're looking at Hopewadi coming back, good chance if Chevy Stewart does nothing, we might see Sebastian Chris at fullback again. You puts we see Hopewadi in the centres. Just to keep Schiller in the side because he's killing it. So there's so many options that the Raiders can do. Getting a replacement fill-in fullback who's bottom dollar, who hasn't done enough yet to
mm.
get a massive price jump, isn't a priority by anyone's means. So I feel like he could be one of those other dots that you just see on your bench in a few weeks' time. Too hard to get away from, too many pressing issues that you can't fix. Yeah,
Even though it would absolutely kill a lot of us super coaches, I would love to see a week where the Raiders are full strength in terms of their back line, just so we have an idea roughly of what Ricky Stewart's plans are moving forward, just to know who's going where, who's in what position, because it would make our lives a hell of a lot easier. Last one, Cam Cook on Facebook, Bostock and May, um, Iro and SJ. So I'm guessing that's trading Bostock to May
yep,
and Iro. Actually, no, you'll be getting in Iro. So it must be Bostock
yeah,
and
yeah.
Mays
It's
getting
both
traded out
Bostock
to Iro.
out.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. I'd
It's a bit
imagine, yeah,
late.
the only
Sorry,
way to
guys.
get any of these guys, you probably have Hutcho in your halfback or something to swap him back down to
Yeah,
center wing. Yeah, man, do it. Fuck yeah, get
do
SJ
it.
in. That's sick. Probably 2 weeks too late, but never too late.
Still
That's
love
it.
that little play that I made. I can't. I absolutely love you, SJ. And just a little 95 on the weekend as well. Don't mind if I
Out of
do.
nowhere.
Um, Yeah, from out of nowhere. Quickly, we didn't mention it before we go into that top five thing that we've done so far. Just our captaincies quickly, captaincy and vice captaincy, what we're looking at for this round. Um, at the moment, I've got my eye on a VC of Dylan Brown on against the Dolphins. I think he might be able to do something there. Just I don't know. I just got one of those gut feels. Captaincy, I'm thinking of Ponga against the Dogs captaincy. What about yours?
Probably VC on Nico with a captain on Ponga.
Yeah,
Pretty keen to do
don't
that.
mind.
Pretty keen to do it. The Dogs have been so impressive, though. I still don't think it'll be enough for Ponga in general, but it's not as easy of a walkover as they used to be. So
No, they're not. But it's Ponga. So and
yeah,
the what? I mean, the worry is his injury. So just keep an eye on that because you never know. He could go off after 50, 60 minutes. But that's the other part to play with that Ponga captaincy
yeah,
option. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's
still like it.
to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah, I do still. All right, we'll quickly get through these last ones. So just I'll run through as you see in the post. If you haven't, go or follow the social media pages all down below. I did get rid of the purple thing. I forget the bloody name of it, but I just wasn't even involved with it. I didn't like it. It's too hard. It's too much going on with it. What's it called, Jesse?
What's that?
The purple logo thingy. What's it? Bloody that
Discord?
Yeah, we're off it, guys. I'm not on the Discord anymore, so you can't even find us there. So if you were on it and looking for us or whatever, I've got to delete it off. Don't worry, it's a pain in the ass.
Couldn't do it.
Never get those few hours back in my life. Top five fullbacks so far. So this is total points. Take into account some teams have had the early buy, etc. But after 6 rounds, which technically sort of the quarter of the way mark, it is a 27 round competition, so it's impossible to divide that by 4 and get a perfect number. Ponga is first, 506 points. So ended up has made his top price basically there. Like I got rid of him, regret it, but it is what it is. Drinkwater second, 497. Turbo third, 469. Edwards fourth, 451. And then there's a little bit of a drop. It's Latrell Mitchell, fifth, 368. Anything that surprises you there or stands out, Jesse?
Dylan Edwards with a game less played,
Mm,
not far off the big boys at the top.
wow.
Yeah, absolute freak, man. So he's done well with that. Um, as far as it goes, too, looking at this top three, that was how they were priced to begin the season. For the drafts, so the pre-team pickers. So the natural order of things always does come back around, which is good. And yeah, picking Ponga and Drinkwater come round six hindsight, fantastic option to do. Very happy with my fullbacks.
I, I'm. I didn't get to talk about it, but I'll quickly just say something. With Manly's run at the moment, I kind of like Turbo. I just feel like he's starting to show some signs he's ready to explode as we're coming into Origin. He wants to put his hand up and say, "Yep, he's right to go." I just, for some reason, there's something about Turbo at the moment that I just keep looking at today and just going, "Oh, I don't mind my fullbacks at the moment, but I would just love to have what Turbo I think's about to produce." But anyway, top five center wings. Number one, Val Holmes. Number two, Zach Lomax. Val Holmes 531 points. Zach Lomax 506 points. Third is Joey Manu 500 points. Goodness me, having those sorts of points, you're laughing.
Mm,
Mulatalo, number four, 447. And Tomoko, number five, 426. Tomoko has been under the radar deluxe. That is what stands out to me straight away.
yeah, yeah, massively. Hey, and he did it last year too. He was very, very low ownership. It was last year was kind of his breakout, and he just shot through the roof. He pretty much got to basically what he's priced at now. He did drop off though. That's the thing. He kind of has this thing where he'll have these huge monster games in quick succession. His price will fucking jump so high, and then it'll just kind of stop. Um, we
Mm,
saw that last year a couple of times. He went from, you know, this is last year's, round 9, 79 points, round 10, 119, then a 69. And then immediately after that, for whatever reason, 32, 28, 41, 36, 55, 43. And then by then he was back down to reality again. So I feel like we're in the peak of the Tomoko price point.
yeah.
Man, if he continues this, then you've got a proper gun working around it. But yeah, like he's in my draft side. I'd love him to keep going consistently with these scores. Whether or not he can keep it up is a different story. But yeah, man, it's huge. It doesn't take him long to go up that much money, man. Big time.
I'll rate him so much as a player as well.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, he's a weapon. He's just a unit too. He's so hard to stop when he gets going.
Tackle breaks galore.
Little wrecking ball, man.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Top 5 5/8 now. I'm really interested to get into this one because this is interesting. First of all, you'll notice the significant points reduction on these 5 players compared to the last 2 positions we've spoken about. For mine, 5/8 turning into this position where you can literally just get by with, say, your Galvins and stuff the way it's looking. So, Matt Burton is number 1, 393. Now, that has a massive thank you the last probably week or two where he scored really, really good. Dylan Brown is number 2. Now, all the hate, all the people saying we want to get rid of him, I was in that boat. He's number 2 on 357. Ethan Strange, number 3, 343. Thomas Dean, 338 is 4th, and 5th is Luke Brooks, 325. So after his great start to the year, has obviously slowed down a lot. We've already spoken about that. What surprises you in that one?
Um, I would have thought Tommy Dearden would have been higher considering how good he's been. Um, Obviously things just not translating quite well. But look at the total points scored, man. Like the highest points scored
Mm,
out of the 5/8 is 393 points, and you're paying me 700K for that. Um,
yeah.
it's a lot of money for such a low scoring position. It's just, yeah, it's pretty disappointing, really. Where you look at your center wing, and for the same price, for the same 693, basically 700K, um, they've scored pretty much 100 more points at least over those course of those first few games, and you're 200 points behind those guys anyway. So yeah, but that it's the same thing every season too. And you say it at the beginning of the year, like the 5/8's the worst spot, so just pick a good one and stick with them. The only reason you'd be disappointed with Dylan Brown is that he's so expensive to start. If he wasn't that dear, you wouldn't really think much of it. But at the price he is now, you may as well keep him.
Yeah,
It's just
I,
too big of
I
a loss.
agree.
But yeah,
Top
Matt
5
Burton.
halfbacks. Oh, I can't believe Matt Burton. Like,
Yeah. I had him
yeah.
last year to start and he burnt me, so I got off him and now look at him. Yeah, look at
What'd
him
you
in the
say he
halfback.
is now? He's
Price,
7, yeah, price wise?
693. Basically,
Yeah,
he's
no
nearly
thanks.
700K with a negative 14 break even. And I think it's all off the back of the last 2 weeks.
100%. So he
It's off
sets
the back.
up Josh Adokar a lot. He sets up Sherry, who are both flying on the weekend. It's
Yeah. It was his
yeah,
150 that just did it for him. It's put him in a really good
yeah.
position for a couple.
And funny enough, he actually features in the next one. So top 5 halfbacks because of that dual position. Straight away, spoiler alert: the 2 big dogs at the start of the year, who most people said were must starts, do not feature. So number 1 is Daly Cherry Evans, 455 points. Sean Johnson second, 421 points. Love you, SJ. Third is Matt Burton, 393 points. Jamal Fogarty, number 4, 383. He's flying this year, not just
Mm,
Supercoach, but I've got him in a number of my drafts as my halfback, and I've loved it. I actually captained him last week, and he won me a game in a draft season I'm in. That was a ballsy
hectic.
play, but it came off.
I know.
And Ben
Sweet.
Hunt, 5th option, 363. Coming a 5th. He's coming. So yeah, straight away, what points out to me is no Hines, no Cleary. Obviously, an injury for Cleary, but Hines isn't there. Anything else that points out to you for that list?
Um, Jamal Fogarty, man, he's killing it.
Mm,
Admittedly, like you look at the averages, and Cleary's still number one. He's only played 3 games, where these guys have played 6. So
yeah.
just in perspective, Cleary would still be number one outside of the other guys. So just a bit tricky to do when you've got dodgy hammies. But Nico, as bad as he has been, still just behind him. And the difference is that Nico, he hasn't had it done this year, but he's got the ceiling to beat them all.
Mm.
So whether or not it
We're
happens
just
or not,
waiting for it to happen.
just waiting. But the ownership between these halves is so low. 5% for Cherry Evans. 16 is fair for Sean Johnson. Like it's decent. 8 for Burton. I think that's even quite high. 4.2 for Fogarty. 9.6 for Hunt. All these high ownership halves are further down the line. So if you've got any of these guys at the top, particularly if you're running with Cherry Evans and SJ, you're flying right now
Yeah.
because they are the form halves in the comp by a bit too. So
You are loving life. Top five front row forwards. Number one, Aiden Fanua Blake, 417 points. I was always worried about him with his signature to the Sharkies. I was not a big fan, and that has put massive egg on my face. Number two, Terrell May,
mm,
361 points. This man has flown under the radar massively. Tarpany, number three, 359. Joshy Curran features fourth, 358. That's thanks to the jewel. He does make this list. A week ago or 2 weeks ago, he would not. He didn't have the jewel, and then Mitch Barnett as well, 356. I tell you what, for mine, when I put this list together, this was the one that surprised me the most. Just some of the players that do feature on this list. You could almost talk about each and every player on this list, Jesse.
yeah, they're all solid options. I think you can just pick any of them
Mm.
and you're going to get like look at what they scored this round too. 76, 86, 81, 64, 80. That's where the quality is with a lot of them. I think Mitch Barnett played a full 80 minutes too, potentially. I think it was an edge game. So, but even still as a prop, he's just so solid and dual position, Curran's dual position. Fanua Blake with the try scoring threat, but Terrell May, you know what I mean? Like we got Terrell May 420K. There's no one else that gets close. You can come down a little bit, and Stefano's there, which is not too bad. But as far as it runs, man, like where's Payne Haas at? Like where are these other guys? They're just nowhere near it. I suppose, yeah, that's the thing. Injuries, you can't really check them, but when you go by average, I think they're all up the top anyway. Payne Haas second in average, 67. But it doesn't change too much. So Tarpany's been under the radar quite a lot. I think he's starting to go on his way back up. He was one that I was looking at a couple of weeks ago, just waiting for him to bottom out. But unfortunately, all it takes is one good
The
game,
opposite.
and they just don't do it. So you're like, oh
He-
shit,
he's
you just
off.
gotta,
He's off
you,
again.
yeah, you gotta pay up. It just took one more game, one more bad game, and you would have been back down again. But missed that boat, unfortunately. But yeah, I love having Joe Tarpany in the team. He's just such a reliable option. Um, Again, as far as the Raiders go, play 7, 8, 9. Don't play round 10, but they do play round 13, 17, and no 19. So there's a good buy around option for anyone. Um,
Don't mind
it's
that.
kind of when
Don't
everyone's
mind me
quite
just going
formed
off
again.
to buy Tarpany and Fogarty this week. So getting all the
Tarpany and
Canberra Raiders
Fogarty.
in.
Yeah, just pack the
round
Raiders in.
round
You've already
10
got
can go.
6. Yeah, yeah, you're screwed.
um, it's top five second row forwards. Another one that had a couple of surprises in there. So number one is Hop God, 437 points. Homole Olakauatu is number two, 435 points. Jackson Ford was number three, 423 points. Victor Radley having a season so far, in my opinion, in an actual rugby league point of view, and it's paying off in Supercoach. Fourth, 404 points. And Paddy Carrigan, fifth, 501 points. What do you got
Yeah.
with this one, Jesse?
Well, Ford is surprising, but we know that he's been massively informed, killing it. I think between Hopgood, Olakauatu, you kind of expect him to be at the top anyway. That's just business as usual for those two guns. Victor Radley's been playing 80 minutes basically all year. So, um,
And being smart with it as well, not doing
yeah,
dumb shit.
it hasn't been like I suppose he did get binned for an absolute joke of a call. I was going to say it hasn't been sent
Yeah, that
off.
was a joke.
But you know what I mean? Like 78, a whole bunch of mid 50s, and then 103 with a try. So he's putting himself in those positions too. Like it does look good. But yeah, 80 minutes. Like if they can just keep sticking 80-minute performances out, naturally those points will come because his points per minute's quite good. Again, like if he doesn't play the 80 and he's only getting those 50s, you'd imagine a 60-minute game he gets quite low. But as far as it stands at the moment, it's all been 80-minute games. Just don't know how long he keeps it up. Um, but looking at the consistency in like the gun status of certain players, we'll talk about it before. Isaiah Yo, he's eighth, 381 points. Um, still a bit shy of the top group by a handful. But again, with one game less played. So
Mm.
yeah, give him
He'd be in
another
that top
75
five.
points. Another 75 points, he's first comfortably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been so good. Stop talking about him because I really do want him. I just feel like I'm being so safe getting him, but I want him. There is so much that I love about him.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's worth a shout for sure. He would be the highest scoring second rower in the game, and that's all in base too. That's the best
Yeah.
thing about it. He's only got upside if he can just snag something. But everything he does every single week is base.
Give us the odd try, bro. Come on. Wait till I
Just
get you.
one.
Wait till after this week.
Just one.
Top five, the last one, hooker. Reese Robson is first, 444. Reed Marnie, second, 377. Appy Coruscant, third, 355. Brandon Smith, Jesse was on him early, fourth, 327. In a way, he probably wishes he still had him. Five,
Yeah.
Joey Lussick, 319. Couple
Well,
of noteworthy players there. Reece Robson is killing it, and that was probably one thing we did say at the start of the year. I wish we listened.
the
We
first thing we
haven't,
said.
and ah,
Yeah. It was the first thing we said. Reece Robson, like, great pick.
and there was so many people
Underpriced.
out there were bagging him, going, "No, it can't happen." And we were so sure on it. We go, "No, no, look at his draw, look at the start." Ah,
Yep. It just, yeah. And that's the thing. I think you mentioned it last week. Robson down to Brandon Smith was my ticket to get Dylan Brown. So I hate that. But again, it could have been a masterstroke, but it just wasn't. Reed Marnie, number two. What the fuck is that about? Where did that come from? I just I can't believe it. This is what happened last season too. I think Marnie had a couple of good ones, and everyone was like, "Oh, Reed
then
Marnie."
everyone got on him.
Everyone got on him, and then it just went south very quickly. So, but if it's anything like that Eels year, and admittedly there's only one of them, could be good. Could be good. If the only problem that he had was just missing tackles, constantly missing tackles.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously dried it up a little bit, but yeah, no, it's very impressive to be second at the moment. Happy Coruscant third with a game less too, pretty solid.
That's
Obviously he's got the
impressive.
kicking in that, so it is good.
Mm,
Brandon Smith fourth, and then Joey Lussick fifth. So yeah, I traded Brandon Smith to Joey Lussick, so it hasn't all
yeah.
been too bad. That was a couple of weeks ago now, anyway.
No Grant either. He has had a buy as well, so he might
Yeah,
enter things soon. But
yeah.
as a
So he's
Grant owner, he hasn't been spectacular, but I feel like his score hasn't been like a letdown. Like he's been getting around those 60s and 70s and stuff. So I've been happy with it. Like it's enough.
Yeah, for his standard, you're kind of disappointed at it though. Like you're getting him in for more than that. Um,
Yeah.
like I'm
I'm waiting
running
for him to
literally.
explode.
Yeah, it'll happen because he has been doing the 60s with pretty much no effort. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
his worst game was last week. It was 48 points. Like you'll take that. Um, I've just been waiting to sort out my hooker situation so freaking bad because I've got Lussick and Levi, and I freaking hate it. Um, but So this week could be the week. I just look at the hookers at the moment. I just don't know who I want. Like, there's no one here that I'm kind of like, oh man, I wish I could get onto him now. Robson obviously would have been nice, but I feel like Robson is weeks ago now that he's 700. The only one that I do like still is
Jaden
Harry Grant,
Brayley.
Jaden Brayley, another downgrade. Yeah.
Hey, he's getting more and more minutes. I feel like it won't be too long until he starts to get almost an 80-minute role there.
Well, yeah, like his break even 16, he's pretty much bottomed out at 311. If you've got it was a 70-minute game last week and he scored 42 points. So it wasn't fantastic, but at least the minutes are there because there was
Mm.
60 the week before that with a 37. So, that 40 is pretty much going to be where he's at with no attack. Um, he's definitely on the way back up. So whether it's like a Levi to him kind of move, you're definitely going to make some more out of it over the long term. And you bank 70K.
I don't know why I'm
I
trying to
think,
help you out anyway, but
hey,
do what you do. I don't know
no,
why
no,
I'm trying to help you out, but do what you do.
please, it's great. I need all the help I can get.
You don't need the help.
Yeah, mate. But yeah, no, hooker's just one of those positions too where like, I don't know, it's not exciting. I don't like it. I don't like any of
Mm,
them. That's why I haven't even really looked at it. I was just glad Lussick did what he did last week. Otherwise, I would have been kicking myself trying to sort out something this round because at least he's bought me another week or two. So I think,
yep.
yeah, 72 points, like you take that every day. So they can do it. Even the shit ones can do it.
Yeah,
It's whether or not you pay up.
true that. But
Yeah.
looks like they've Hooker's been a bit better scoring than 5/8. It seems like so. It's not the dog shit position so far this year. But again, if you want to go see all those numbers and stuff, go over to the social media pages. If you're over there, make sure you give us a like, a follow, whichever platform you're on. We're on pretty much all of them, so make sure you just search League of Inches. It does help and go a long way. Make sure you hit that YouTube subscribe button, please. Let's get that 1K. We can do it, community. Let's get behind each other and get it done. And go and link up and subscribe to that Facebook group as well. But that's all we've got time for. We will move on. We'll go do some more homework for our own teams and lock in some stuff. I feel I'm really keen to get the post out this week for our teams and how we're going to lock it in because I feel like there's going to be some big plays for both of our teams this week to really try and set us up for a good little chunk of this next Supercoach period. But thank you once again, guys, for listening. Hope you've got a lot out of it. I appreciate everyone sending in their teams and asking the questions. Keep them coming. Apologies if I have missed someone or a few out there. If I haven't meant it, just been flooded at the moment. Supercoach is going crazy. Enjoy your night, enjoy your day whenever you're listening, and we will talk to you again very soon.